Welcome back to the Slice, folks. Dominic Thiem has taken out Novak Djokovic in the semifinals of the French Open, and yesterday Rafael Nadal took out Roger Federer. So we're going to look at how these outcomes happened, what happened in these matches, and we're going to preview the final. The second time Dominic Thiem and Rafael Nadal have played in the French Open final in a row. We're going to check all that out, get into it, and address some of your comments in this episode of The Slice.
Welcome to The Slice.
Welcome to the slice.
Welcome to the slice.
Welcome back to the show, folks. Thanks for tuning in. If you're new here, hit the subscribe button, and then you'll never miss out on the Slice's coverage of the French Open or the grass season, Wimbledon, or the US Open. We're doing it together. Thanks for checking all of it out. If you haven't seen my previews to the Federer-Nadal match or the Thiem Djokovic match, you can watch those by just going to the channel because they're all up there. And my predictions for these matches are up there as well. Even though I didn't really give a prediction, I more just gave like a breakdown of what I thought could happen. But let's take a look at what happened in these matchups because very interesting. I didn't get to see a lot of the Thiem Djokovic match because of the weird scheduling. I thought that it would be at different times, and obviously there was a rain delay partway through the match. But Thiem versus Djokovic was an absolute epic, obviously super long. Thiem ended up winning 6-2, 3-6, 7-5, 5-7, 7-5. So an absolute epic between two guys who I said had similar styles. A lot of people got mad at me saying that. What I meant is they're both grinders. They like to hit from behind the baseline. And obviously Thiem has more spin than Djokovic, but they're both, I would say in general, long match, big cardio, both super defensive, both super fast and great at moving around the court. And that's what we saw today. So, I mean, it was a close match, and honestly, by the end, it could have gone either way. Thiem had a big lead in the fifth set, and then Djokovic closed it, brought it to 7-5, and then Thiem hit an incredible winner on the first match point he got to win the match. So it was an amazing effort by Thiem to take out a very hungry Djokovic, who was obviously hungry to get his second French Open and to meet Rafael Nadal in the final. I still feel like Djokovic still feels like he has a lot to prove to get past Federer and Djokovic, and this is definitely going to be a tough loss for him. I haven't seen their post-match conferences yet, but just looking into what actually happened in the match. Before this match, I said Thiem can hurt Djokovic with his power, and he's been serving amazingly well all tournament, and it's got a lot of kick to it. Djokovic is the greatest returner of all time in my eyes. I know people say I don't give him enough credit, but I do. And so would Djokovic be able to handle Thiem serve? That was one of the questions coming into this match. And he didn't really. He was not able Djokovic was not able to hurt Thiem on his serve as much as he should have this match. Thiem's serve was hurting Djokovic. His win percentage on his first serve was 65%, which is pretty good. It's not dominant, but against a guy like Djokovic, that's what you would expect. But the key point is his win percentage on his second serve, Thiem's second serve, he won 64% of those points. So the same percentage as his first serve. So Djokovic wasn't making any ground up on Thiem's second serve, partly because Thiem's second serve is so good. He kicks it out super wide and it bounces so high off the clay that he was neutralizing Djokovic's amazing returning abilities, and then Djokovic wasn't as hurting him on the return. Thiem won 73 receiving points, while Djokovic only won 55. So that means Thiem was getting into Djokovic's service games much more than Djokovic was getting into Thiem's in the match in total. So that's a very interesting point. That part of the match there that played a big difference was just the serving. And then to me, it seemed just from what I saw, when Djokovic with his defense was getting an out wide backhand, a lot of times they were falling short, and Thiem was just putting them away with almost relative ease sometimes when it dropped to the middle of the court, which you can't blame because Thiem has insane power. So to me, it just seemed like obviously it was a close match in the general sense of things, and it could have gone either way. You really, when that fifth set gap got closed, you had to have started to feel like Djokovic was going to pull it back just because he's done it so many times. He is a mental giant, like you guys said, and he's got that experience of winning so many Grand Slams over Thiem. But that's what makes this match so important, I think, in tennis history, is the young guy like a Thiem finally coming up and beating Djokovic or Nadal, like one of the big guys in the Grand Slam deep rounds. So we just saw Thiem take out Djokovic when Djokovic is the number one player in the world, playing at a great level. Thiem takes him out in a tough five-setter. This could be a breaking point for Thiem to move really forward in his career. This, even if he loses to Nadal, this is a big stepping stone. But obviously, he has a massive opportunity to create tennis history against Nadal on Sunday. So kudos to Thiem and Djokovic for putting on an amazing match. There was a bit of controversy with the weather delay in the middle there. I think there's not much to look into there. It probably helped them both out playing the next day on sunnier courts that were just better. And we got to see tennis that was going to be more pure in better conditions. And massive kudos to Thiem for pulling that one out. It's obviously insanely tough to do against a great champion like Djokovic. And just to point out, some of you guys, the commenters, you guys were absolutely going wild in the comment section after I did my preview of this match, Djokovic and Thiem. You guys are saying, I don't know what I'm talking about. Why am I even placing Thiem and Djokovic on the same level? It's true. They don't have a similar career. Djokovic has won 15 Grand Slams, and he's won 33 Masters, and Thiem had barely won any. He's won like one Masters. But right now on the clay, Thiem and Djokovic were the same level coming into this match. And it was super ignorant to think that Thiem wouldn't have a good chance in this match. Because if you've been watching, you've been seeing that Thiem's been hurting players. He beat Nadal at Barcelona. He won Barcelona. He made it to the French Open final last year. He's been doing better in the French Open in the last 3 years than Djokovic has. So coming into this match, there's no reason to think that Djokovic would have an easy time with Thiem. So that's why I gave Thiem a lot of credit in the preview. And look what happens. Look, the Djokovic fans are obviously passionate, and I love that. Because Federer fans, passionate. Nadal fans, passionate. Djokovic fans are passionate. But he seems like you guys get real salty when he doesn't get enough credit. And I did not give him credit. I was just pointing out who I said was a slight underdog Thiem, the keys to the match that he would have to do to win. And I said he had a pretty good chance. And it looked like I ended up being right because he won and he took out Djokovic. So, sorry to be salty, but I had to call some people out because you guys are getting absolutely wild in the comment section. But I love the passion. Keep it up. Also, there's like some people of you who like comment 3 videos in a row. I'm going to stop watching this guy because he doesn't know what he's talking about. Thanks for the views. Thank you for the views. So that's Djokovic Thiem into the final of the French Open for the second time. Nadal versus Federer. Nadal defeats Federer 6-3, 6-4, 6-2. Fairly straightforward fashion. The first 2 sets were actually fairly close, decided by just by one break and a couple points here and there. Nadal handled the conditions unbelievably well. He just showed again why he's such a dominant force on clay. 84% of his first serves in that wind. It was absolutely crazy. They had to like stop and there'd be dust clouds blowing by them. Crazy to watch. Federer obviously didn't handle the conditions as well because he just doesn't play with as much margin in his game. Federer didn't convert on some break points in the second set, which could have gotten into that match. But I think definitely the better player won in that matchup. Nadal was definitely a step ahead of Federer on the clay there in that match, and the rightful player made it through. He had some team if there were better conditions, I do believe Federer would have been playing better. But even when Federer did hit amazing shots in these matches, in that match, Nadal had a few crazy backhand defensive passes or just winners. One of them was on the first set point that just showed exactly what level he can get to and why he was making Federer overthink his decisions, and we saw Federer make some decisions that he wouldn't have made against any other player other than Nadal, because obviously he has some like heebie-jeebies from losing to Nadal all those times and getting past. So very interesting to watch the duo of the two GOATs go at it. Nadal comes out in 3 sets. Thiem versus Nadal in the final for the second time in the French Open final. Last year, Nadal won pretty solidly. I don't think Thiem gave a great performance last year. Nadal was dominant. And this year we're going to see it again. What's going to be different? I think what's going to be different is Thiem just has more experience under his belt. I think winning Miami for him, beating Federer in the final, Indian Wells, is a big deal for him. I think just the experience that he's had in the World Tour Finals, beating Djokovic today is a big deal for him. That belief he's going to have is there. In the match today, Thiem looked absolutely settled. When he won the sets, he felt like, yep, that's good. He didn't seem too stoked, and he didn't get too low when he was down. So he seems like he's absolutely locked in, and he doesn't have to convince himself to believe that he can win these matches. He now just knows he can if he does what he does. I think he fully believes now that he can beat Nadal because he's done it recently. Nadal's obviously beat him as well, but I think he'll have a bit more belief this year. What's different for Nadal? I can't tell if he's playing worse or better than last year, but I just know he hasn't had as good of a clay swing as last year. And he hasn't had the tests in this tournament that Thiem's had. So he'll be a bit more fresh than Thiem will be, but I don't know if his level's at where it was last year, and maybe he's not quite as confident. So very interesting stuff coming into this match. We obviously have the challenger versus the champ. This is what you want in sports. We got the young guy in Thiem who's been grinding, who's been doing every possible thing he can to get his level up high enough to take out these guys. And he just took out the world number one, and now he's coming in to take out the all-time clay GOAT on the biggest stage. So really, we are at a precipice, I would say, where history can absolutely be made. If Thiem is to beat Nadal in the final here to win, he'll do something that hasn't been done since Juan Martín del Potro won the U.S. Open in 2009, which is beat two of the big three in a row to win. And it would just solidify him as like the next heir to the throne of the big three. And if Nadal wins, we obviously see more history being made by the ultimate GOAT on clay. He won his 12th French Open, which is mind-obliterating, and his 18th Grand Slam, getting him one step closer to Federer's 20. So just some quick keys. Honestly, it's going to come down to who plays better in the big points and the big moments. But I think what Thiem has to do is stay focused. He can't overthink himself in this match. He can't change his game too much because of who he's playing. I said that about Federer playing Nadal, and I think Federer did change his game a bit, which I don't know if it's the right call. It's not like I know more than these guys, but Thiem, he's got to stay forward like he did against Djokovic, which was one of my keys for him against Djokovic. He stayed a bit more forward and implanted his game into that match. He's got to try and do that again. He's probably got a bit more juice in his legs just being younger than Nadal does, and I think he's got to take it to him. He's got to be aggressive in this match, but not overthink it. He's got to believe and just be confident in his shots. And then his serve can do some damage for sure. He's just going to rely on his what he's been doing. That's gotten him here so far. And just go out there and execute. What Nadal's got to do is Thiem will get tight at points in this match, especially at the end, I think. And Nadal's got to attack in those moments. He's obviously got to do what he does best, which is anytime someone comes forward on clay, not with a great approach shot, make him pay for it. You got to obviously be getting the ball up to Thiem's backhand. Even though Thiem's backhand is so good, it's not as good when it's shoulder height. It's basically impossible to have an insane one-handed backhand when the ball's that high. So Nadal's got to obviously do everything he normally does on clay, but I think he's really got to attack Thiem's second serve. We saw Djokovic not able to do that at all, but Thiem's best second serve is the out wide serve on the ad side, and the T serve on the deuce side. So that would be typically going to his opponent's backhands, but in this case, that would be going to Nadal's forehand. So if he's doing those, Nadal's got to rip it cross-court, big-time loops to Thiem's backhand and make him uncomfortable. Nadal can make Thiem more uncomfortable than anyone else possibly could on clay. That's what Nadal does so well. So if he can do those things, I think Nadal definitely is the favorite in this matchup. You got to say that, but Thiem's the challenger. So the stage is set. We're going to see what's happened. The master and the Padawan, the king of clay and the prince of clay going head-to-head. Let me know your predictions down below. Let me know what you think is going to happen. And thanks for being a part of this. This has been an amazing tournament. I've loved the support that you guys have given me. Thanks to all the new subscribers. Welcome. Don't forget to click subscribe and check out the Slice Front Row, which is a Patreon show I do every second week. We got a new episode coming out this week. That's a show where you can decide what we talk about. You get to have your questions answered on the show, and they're a bit longer and more in-depth, and we do some really fun things in there. So check that out in the link below, and we will see you after the final between Dominic Thiem and Rafael Nadal. Thanks for watching, folks. This has been The Slice. Click here to subscribe. Click here to watch another video, and click here to check out the Slice Front Row, which could change your life and make you a much better tennis fan.